The theme of the Atlanta Falcons preseason thus far has been the energy, offense, defense, James Pierce Jr., and it's been talked about. And it seems like there's more smoke, there's more fire to all of this smoke that we're hearing, because we're now seeing it at joint practices, and the Falcons were giving it to the Tennessee Titans, as they should be. You know, they have a much better roster than Tennessee. They should be beating the hell out of them every single day, and that's what happened. And you know what happens when that happens? Tennessee says, all right, well, it's time to fight. If we can't,
that's how I used to play sports.
If we can't beat you on the field, everybody knows a few guys that are just like, once you start losing, it's like they were starting the fights on the field. And that's exactly like you see it in the NFL, especially at these joint practices all the time, because there's no real ramifications. And if one side's getting the better of the other side starts fighting.
This is really when they should fight.
But the best part about it is that Michael Penix was exchanging blows in the middle of one of these fights. And he came out afterwards, laughed, and he said, "You know, I'm from Tampa. Now that's not the toughest thing. That's not the toughest thing.
I'm from Woodstock, Georgia, baby.
That's not the toughest thing that you can say, admittedly. But I'm sure wherever Michael Penix, he knew what he was saying. I can't quite understand that, because when I think of Tampa, I think of like St. Pete, and I'm like the Trop.
That was really fun over there. The Seminole Casino is a lot of fun.
I think about that. So I can't quite relate. I'm sure, but he clearly. And this is really what I take away. His teammates. And I think there were some reports that people were like, yeah, our quarterback's different. Like, he's willing to get out there. I mean, that earns you respect. And I don't know how much more respect he has to earn in that locker room. I feel like everyone's already, behind Michael Penix in this city. But I love it.
I disagree. I think that everybody can kind of talk the talk in terms of not only Michael Penix being a leader, quarterback, yada, 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 but the people who are giving you the same standard PR bull crap of talking. He's our guy. We're supporting him. We're behind him, yada, yada, yada. You really believe Raheem Morris was saying that when he watched Kirk Cousins throw it 20-yard lollipops for a pick six? I really doubt it. This is the exact kind of way where you're walking the walk, where Michael Penix is now, he's showing up day after day, day after day. Now, he's physically in the face of somebody else. I mean, you hear it all the time about Baker Mayfield getting his guys riled up. Tom Brady did it. You remember that Super Bowl, getting in him and Tyrann Mathieu. Like, there is something more to this than maybe some fans are even registering right now. We're like, maybe it's not all 52 guys who are going to be on the roster, but maybe it's Chris Lindstrom or Jake Matthews, who are stalwarts here, who thought, that guy is actually down to get into, a foxhole with me, where it's like, of course they're going to say that to the public and they're going to say that to the media, because what kind of teammates would they be if they didn't publicly back? Now they might actually mean it. I'm not saying those guys didn't mean it when they were saying it, but now they might even believe it more. They're like, okay, this guy's actually for real. And I do think the energy around the team is different. And this is not to kind of poo-poo on Kirk Cousins by any means, but they're different guys. One's got a little bit of swag, and one's, you can pass them by in the grocery store and not think twice about them. I mean, that's just the
great clips.
Right. That is exactly right. And I think, I'm not saying Kirk Cousins isn't an ultimate competitor, a tough guy, everything like that, but these are grown men, and you can't fake being an alpha around a bunch of alphas. You either are or you're not.
Yeah. And I think another big aspect when you talk about the type of leader, and there's no question that Michael Penix is a leader. I mean, you go back to his Washington days, he was a captain. This is a guy that came back from multiple ACL surgeries and made it to the pinnacle of the sport with another team and was right there in a national championship. Like, there's no question that there's an aura about him that kind of speaks for itself. But there's also no question that he's not exactly the loudest guy in the room. Like, he's not, Matt Ryan was exactly the same guy as Kirk Cousins, but Matt Ryan was the alpha, and it's like he demanded respect, even though he didn't look like it maybe when he was smiling and doing an interview. But when he got in the huddle, like, he demanded respect. He was the loudest guy in the room. Michael Penix, it seems like a little quiet confidence kind of about him. So when you see something like that, that's kind of like, oh man, like, he's really about this. He's an ultimate competitor. He's, like you said, willing to get in the foxhole. I do agree that it's kind of a different side of him that maybe doesn't always get shown. And I think, he earned a lot of cachet in the locker room today with fans. And I think everybody's excited about the direction of where this is going, right? It honestly, and I know it's training camp and we're talking ourselves into it, it feels different. And I'm not saying it's going to be a Super Bowl, but I'm expecting on Sundays there to be some sort of fire that we haven't really had, like a competitive fire on both sides of the ball where they expect to win and believe in each other. I think Penix is a big part of that. I think Ulbricht's a big part of it. I think that's who Raheem Morris is to his core, especially behind closed doors. It does feel different. And so I'm cautious. I'm not even going to say cautiously. I'm optimistic about us finally getting off the hump, getting over the hump, and making the damn postseason.
Yeah, and I think now that we've had all of that conversation, don't go near another one of these fights. Do not take hits, no unnecessary hits. Now, I know, like, I just talked about Baker Mayfield, lowering his shoulder and earning everybody's respect. And I think there is something to that. But let's also not, put ourselves in harm's way. You are now the saving grace of this entire city. Realize your worth is far higher than a training camp scuffle. I love it, but now I'm going to take Raheem Morris' side where it's like, listen, James Pierce Jr., Chris Lindstrom, those refrigerator human beings get into a fight, let them fight. It's literally like we're raising boys and then we're raising a girl, Michael Penix, where it's like, no, you do not fight. You're the golden child. You do not touch anyone. You let those 400-pound behemoths go do your bidding for you. Do not get anywhere near Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons could break my neck by just squeezing me. I mean, Michael Penix is a big guy, but let's not. I don't want him anywhere near these.
I think that speaks the fact that every single offensive lineman, and maybe they didn't know this about Michael Penix. I mean, keep in mind that he was the starting quarterback for 3 games. He was kind of just sat there and coddled and hidden from us. We didn't even let him play in the preseason outside of one drive for whatever reason that might be. But knowing that their quarterback is willing to do that might be an alarm bell in all those big uglies because, that's their job. That is the offensive line job. They project that. And when they see that, they kind of see that brewing. It's like, all right, it's my time to step in and shut this man up. Whether it's a linebacker, they're the biggest guys in the field. Their job is literally to push people around. So if there's something that starts to brew where Michael Penix could be in the middle of it, I think there's now a very quick green light to those guys getting in the middle and shutting that stuff down real quick.
Yeah, and we've got some bullies. Bergeron's that kind of a guy where he is clearly a bully. I mean, Caleb McGarry is a human being that would scare children if he didn't have a helmet on. I mean, he really would. Like, he is a scary human being.
I mean, Chris Lindstrom.
And Chris Lindstrom is like, smiley, and I bought a tractor with my money, but I imagine when he gets between those lines, listen, you don't become the highest paid guard in the NFL without having a little bit of a mean streak.
One of the nastiest positions in all of football.
Yeah. I mean, sports.
Yeah. I mean, I think football in general, unless you're like playing rugby.
Hockey.
There are some other sports, but yeah, in sports, that's one of the nastiest positions. We got to go to break. I don't know if you saw it, Alex. JP, Josh Pate, he released a poll. His new power ranking poll. It's always much different than the top 25. We're going to talk about it after this.